Doctor Who Story by Story. Meglos Review. Just the facts. Meglos is the name of a 4-part Doctor Who story that was broadcast as the second serial of the programme's 18th season, aired from the 27th of September to the 18th of October 1980. It was the 7th and final season to star Tom Baker as the 4th Doctor, and the second season to star Lalla Ward as his companion, the Time Lady Romana. Season 18 saw John Leeson returning to voice the Doctor's beloved robot dog, K9, a role he had played in seasons 15 and 16 but had been temporarily replaced by David Brierley in season 17. The serial was written by John Flanagan and Andrew McCulloch, regular television writers whose credits also include the cult 1991 spy series Sleepers starring Nigel Havers and Warren Clarke, and directed by Terence Dudley, who had previously produced the BBC science fiction series Doomwatch and Survivors, and who would go on to write 3 Fifth Doctor stories over the course of the next 2 seasons, Season 19's 4 to Doomsday and Black Orchid, and Season 20's The King's Demons. Incidental music was composed by Peter Howell, who was responsible for Season 18's new version of the theme music for Episode 1, and regular 80s composer Paddy Kingsland for the rest of the story. Meglos was produced by new producer John Nathan Turner and new script editor Christopher H. Bidmed, both of whom were in their first year on the program. Plot. The Doctor is summoned to the planet Tigella to help the inhabitants cope with an issue involving the source of all the planet's power, the dodecahedron, which one faction views as a religious deity. However, the Doctor and Romana are trapped in a time loop by Meglos, a mysterious entity who takes on the appearance of the Doctor with the intention of stealing the dodecahedron for his own nefarious purposes. Guest cast. The guest cast for Meglos includes Jacqueline Hill as the fanatical Lexa. Hill had a long career in the industry but is best known to Doctor Who fans for her role as Barbara Wright, companion to the first Doctor in the first 2 seasons of the programme. Meglos also features Bill Fraser as the mercenary General Grugged. Fraser appeared in many films and TV shows including Hancock's Half Hour, Ripping Yarns, Up Pompeii, Rumpole of the Bailey and the Avengers, and would feature in the only classic series Doctor Who spin-off K9 and Company later in the same year as his appearance in Meglos. Also appearing in the story is Frederick Treves as Grugged's second-in-command, Lieutenant Brotadak, Treves being a prominent character actor in swathes of films and TV shows including The Jewel in the Crown, The Bill, Lovejoy, Miss Marple, The Avengers, The Elephant Man, Nighthawks, Paper Masks and Mad Dogs and Englishmen. Meglos also marks the final screen appearance of Edward Underdown, who plays Zaster, Underdown being another veteran British actor in films such as The Camp on Blood Island, Dr. Terror's House of Horribles, and Digby, the biggest dog in the world. Trivia. While many actors have appeared in the programme as guests before going on to regular roles, including Ian Marter, Colin Baker, Freema Agyeman, Karen Gillan, and Peter Capaldi, Jacqueline Hill in Meglos remains the only instance of a former regular actor returning years later in a different guest role. Meglos featured a major innovation for Doctor Who and the BBC with the first use of the motion control technology known as scene sync, which enabled the composite shots used in back projection to be improved and made more believable. The closing theme of episode 4 is oddly played a step lower than was normally the case, unintentionally returning the tune to the original E minor key. Meglos was novelized by former script editor Terence Dicks in 1983. The story was released on video in 1995, on DVD in 2011 and again on Blu-ray as part of the Season 18 set released in March 2019. Doppelgangers of both the 4th Doctor and the Meglos impersonation of the Doctor debuted in Madame Tussauds' London Doctor Who exhibition during the broadcast of the story. Reaction. Meglos was poorly rated on broadcast, scoring just 5 million for episode 1 and even less for the remaining 3 episodes, going as low as 4.2 million for episode 2. in line with the general season 18 ratings that were a good 5 or 6 million lower than the average ratings for season 17. Meglos gets an equally frosty reception from Doctor Who fans, with it being generally seen as the worst story of the season and ranking 231 out of 241 stories in the Doctor Who magazine 50 Years poll in 2014. What I think. Regular viewers of these videos will be none too surprised when I do my contrary bastard thing and say that, actually, I rather like Meglos. Certainly I think the DWM poll placing is pretty fucking ridiculous. Now don't get me wrong. I don't think Meglos is a particularly great story, but it's a whole heap better than the previous one, Season 18's opening The Leisure Hive, which is an insomnia cure of epic proportions. Meglos brings a dose of fun and humor back to the show and, while the science versus religion aspect of the plot is a bit who gives a fuck, there's a lot to like. Tom is having a grand old time chewing the scenery as the evil Meglos. The guest cast are generally fun and Lalla is on great form and looks fucking spectacular to boot. While certainly not my favorite Tom and Lalla tale, I find it hard to give Meglos anything lower than a happy smiley-faced B.